Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Strong Style, happening on a special Friday time today because we got stuff going on Saturday, but we got a very special guest joining us as well. But let's introduce ourselves first. I'm the Outlaw John Rocha here, writer, producer, and host on the Strong Style, joined by these two wonderful gentlemen every week. Aaron Turner, how are you, brother?
Doing great, man. How's it going with you guys?
Good. I got our logo. I'm repping our merch here. Hanging out. It's a shirt that's not hanging in Chris's closet yet, but hopefully someday soon. Chris Burns, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. I've traded in my Bullet Club membership for the day because I had to join the flock, guys.
That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
Saturn.
The good.
Not even a Raven. Not even a Raven shirt.
It's lame to have the shirt of the guy you're talking to. Come on.
All right.
I don't know. We'll see.
Be cool, Aaron.
The shape.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, Halloween ends. The less said about that, the better. But we are so excited that you all are joining us here live to have a fun conversation with this gentleman. For the first hour, we're going to hang out with him and have conversation, well, however long he can stay on. And then after that, we're going to get into AEW Dynamite. We're getting into WWE RAW and our thoughts overall on the big stories that happened this week in the world of professional wrestling. But without further ado, let's not waste any time bringing on the man of the hour that we are very excited to bring onto the show to talk about his life, his career, what he's up to, his memories of his time, a recent inductee into the Impact Hall of Fame, 40-plus time champion across multiple federations. Name of, if you can think of a federation, Raven has been there. He's been part of the Diamond Mine, part of the Flock, part of so many programs, and has built his reputation in that way. A Mensa member, ladies and gentlemen, as well. And a gentleman who is, for me personally, which I champion, a man who talks openly about the stuff he has struggled with and his journey along the way and how he's come to terms with the stuff that he has struggled with to achieve the man he is today. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's bring him on. Former ECW champion, former Impact champion, 39-time WWE Hardcore champion, Raven himself, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, Raven.
How you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Great, man.
Good. I got heard you just showing you're repping your shirts. Yeah. I got my Ultraman shirt.
Oh,
okay. All right.
Very nice.
All right.
Love Ultraman. Grew up on
I was going to wear my Space Giants shirt today, but I didn't think anybody would know who the Space Giants were. It was another Japanese show that came out around the same time as Ultraman did.
Yeah.
With, kaijus and all that. And it's a giant, Space Giants, it was a giant who turned into a golden robot, into the golden jet. And his wife, who turned into a silver jet, and their adopted robot kid, who turned into a smaller jet.
Nice.
You're barking up the right tree in this show.
You're.
I figured.
Yeah, for you guys who grew up at a certain time, what Raven's talking about, we're brushing the dust off that nostalgia. But certainly those were great times to grow up as a kid and watch those shows way back when, for sure. But yeah, we're here to sit and talk with you and talk about your career, talk about your life. You know, you're a recent inductee into the Hall of Fame over there at Impact. And you had a fantastic, that promo they did for you was absolutely stellar, brother. And then the speech you gave, and then the move on Tommy Dreamer, which was just the cherry on top of that cake. What's your thoughts now as you think about your time there and being inducted into the Hall of Fame? What's your feelings now?
I'm really happy about that. They only induct one person a year, so
that's huge.
In many ways, it's more difficult to get in there than to get into the WWE Hall of Fame. He says as he rolls his eyes. Yeah, but no, I mean, I was happy to do that. I mean, it was an honor. And I felt like I had a DDT Dreamer. Like I had to DDT him afterwards. It would have been missing something if I didn't do that.
Yeah. But, the ego of Tommy is still there, right? Calling himself the Batman to your Joker. I think I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know if I see Tommy as the Joker. I definitely see you. I'm sorry, as a Batman. I definitely see you as the Joker for sure. But so Tommy's ego is still there for you two to go back and forth, which is great. And getting booed. Aaron, what are your questions for Raven?
Well, first of all, thank you for DDT and Tommy, because he deserved a DDT after rocking that man bun. Oh my god! Woof, woo-wee. Actually, I had had something that we're going back in history here. Going back to your managing days, you of course used to manage the World Tag Team Champions, the Quebecers, and which was Jacques Rougeau and Pierre Carl Ouellette. Did you think that we're in 2022 now, that a guy that you managed, Pierre Carl Ouellette, would be having like death matches in 2022 when you knew him back then as the Quebecer? What did you think about that? Have you seen his stuff?
Yeah, I actually worked a match with him a while ago. Tag match. I think we were tagging or something, or I don't know if we were opposite team. I think we were in the same team. But yeah, I never would have suspected it. But looking back, it's pretty obvious that that's where he would end up. You know what I mean? Because he was like, some of the stuff he did where it was pretty heavy duty. Like, he did some impressive stuff. So and knowing him, I can totally see him like now. Like I never would have predicted that. It's kind of like a good murder mystery. If it's the last person you suspect, but when you find out, it's the most obvious choice. And that's kind of like, yeah, absolutely, I totally get it. But I never would have bet money on it. I wouldn't have suspected it. But it's obvious afterwards. In hindsight.
Gotcha.
Nothing like a one-eyed man in an ass-kicking contest.
Yep. Better than a one-legged man.
That's for sure.
It's true.
In the ass-kicking contest.
Chris, what do you got for Raven?
Well, speaking of which, now that you are a bona fide Hall of Famer, adding to your many, many accolades over the years, would you is your in-ring career completely finished at this point, or do you feel like you got a couple more liters of gas?
I got a couple more centuries in me.
Okay, all right, sure.
No, I just had both my knees replaced this summer, so they're still rehabbing. They're still growing back. Not growing back. They're still growing together. You know what I mean? Like after like 12 weeks, you get the majority of the healing you're going to get. Not the majority of the range of motion, supposedly. Okay. And then after that, it's another 6 months to half a year it's another 6 months to a year of the knees just becoming completely like you never had the surgery. You know what I mean? Like fresh, as a daisy. So I'll still go back and like when I work matches, I only work tags because I don't want to take any bumps.
Sure.
Because of too many injuries. And plus I got to get my shoulder replaced, which I already had one shoulder replaced. Now I got to get the other replaced. And I don't want to take any bumps. So I'll do a tag as a baby face, so I'll come in and I'll beat the guys up, the opponents up, tag my partner. He'll get beat up, tag me back in. I'll make a hot tag, bump, them, and then give them a drop hold on the chair and pin them. Which takes no ability. It takes you're not taking any kind of bump with a drop toe hold on the chair. That's why I don't do the DDT anymore. I haven't done it in years, but I had to do it for the thing. And it was the worst DDT I've ever given.
I was going to ask you about that because last time I think we spoke, you told me that you didn't do it anymore. So when I saw you do it on the Hall of Fame stage, I was like, oh, look who's back.
My legs didn't kick out like they should. Right. That's why it was so terrible. I landed on my butt. It was like a Michael Hayes bump.
Oh my God! Or a Vince Stunner. Vince taking a stunner at that WrestleMania.
God.
Yikes!
It was still a perfect moment.
I don't see how he misses. I don't see how he misses Austin's shoulder.
Yeah,
like his chin just misses the shoulder and he just pancakes.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's a matter of the fact that he's like in his 70s. None of us are in our 70s right now, so who knows? We'll be able to hit that shoulder when that time comes. Aaron, what else you got here?
I know you're a big comic book guy. You love comic books. A while back, I was listening to Tony Schiavone's podcast, and he was saying that you got him into Swamp Thing and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I want to ask you about it's big business, right? We got the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the DC Universe. We just have The Rock and Black Adam, which is out today. What is your thoughts on like the current state of comic affairs in terms of movies and in print? Like, what are you reading? Anything like that? Like
I stopped reading comics about 10, 12 years ago, like in 2010, I think, when they changed all the universes up.
Oh yeah.
And DC went to the New 52 or something or whatever.
Right.
And it just I was spending so much money on comics, and they're taking up so much space. I got like 30,000 comics, in storage.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, and then and plus I hated the way they changed the universe. So I was like, now's a good time to quit. 'Cause if you're gonna quit, you got to quit cold turkey. You can't just, because if you start, creeping back into the comic store, you're like, oh, I'll take this. Oh, that looks interesting. I'll get that. And I hadn't read any books in years at that point, so I started reading books again. And plus, the TV, there was really good TV for the, up until COVID, there was great TV for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I stopped reading comics pretty much.
Okay.
You're a big Frank Miller fan, though, right? I mean, I was reading about the love of those kinds of comic books and stuff. Have you gone? I know you stopped reading, you say, but has anyone recommended anything to you that you've kind of dove into, or just kind of swore them off now completely for the last 10 years?
Kind of swore them off for the last, yeah. I'll pick up something there occasionally here and there.
Okay.
Like if something catches, I don't know, like if I hear about something or read about something, but for the most part, it's
well, you're a Sandman guy too, right? So, you got a tattoo.
Yeah.
The rumor is you got a tattoo of Dream on your back. I haven't seen your back, but the rumor is that you got a tattoo there. Did you watch the Netflix interpretation?
Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I hated the choice for Lucifer though. That was terrible.
Oh,
really?
You didn't like Gwendolyn Christie? Okay.
Yeah, not because she was a woman.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't care that she was a female, but she wasn't pretty enough. She was just, Lucifer's supposed to be the beautiful, most beautiful angel, whatever, and she's kind of, she's all right looking, but, and she's too bulky and she's just not the picture of, like the guy who plays Lucifer in the TV series. Now he's a good looking guy. He was perfectly cast as Lucifer. And he didn't have the blonde hair, but you didn't need the blonde hair the way he looked. You know what I mean?
Right. There's a lot of rumors that he's up for Reed Richards for Fantastic Four, that they're looking at him as possibly Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of comic book people who play in the comic book movies playing other, like Chris Evans. He was the Johnny Storm. I mean, who else was he? He was
Captain America.
Captain America.
Right? He was.
He was in the Losers.
Oh, and he was in the Losers. That's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah, the Losers.
And Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Right, one of the guys.
And he was also in Push, which
Push,
that's right.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, I like Push.
What do you got there, Chris?
Well, piggybacking off Aaron's question, if somebody was going to tap you and say, "Hey, Raven, like we got any role you want to play in the DC or Marvel universe, like what hero or villain would you love to play?"
I would have loved to play Deadpool, but Ryan Reynolds did as perfect a job as you could do. Yeah. So I would have loved to play that. I'd have to play somebody's retired somebody, because I can't move well enough anymore.
Well, I mean, I imagine neither can The Rock, but they made it work by hanging him. I saw the movie yesterday.
He's 10, 15 years younger than me, though.
Fair.
There's a big jump from the 40s to the late 50s. Huge jump. Like when I was in my 40s, I was great, but 50s, like I'm 58 now, so that's rough.
Right on. What about?
But then again, it won't be in the 60s because I'll have my knees will be healed up by then. I'll have my shoulder done by then. So by the 60s should be good again.
Hollywood, if you're listening, we can rebuild him. We have rebuilt him by the next 10 years.
Quote the Raven. Wait till I'm in my 60s. Quote the Raven.
There you go.
We talk about your career, Raven. So many fantastic memories and moments and feuds. Certainly the legendary, of course, we touched on the Tommy Dreamer feud, but also the Sandman feud. Getting McGillicuddy involved. Your feuds throughout the years in WCW, a little bit in WWE, but also in Impact and ECW and all those places that you kind of made your mark and made your name. Who did you enjoy working with the most? And I say this because you're a Mensa guy. So you talked about in your retirement ceremony how you went through a lot of insecurities, but clearly you're also super intelligent. So
Mhm.
was there someone that you felt you really could go toe to toe with, and you sensed you were creating, like organically sensed you were creating magic with?
Yeah, Dreamer and Sandman, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It just, it just worked. We just, and DDP worked really well too. But I always found I worked best with my friends because they, like, they'll give me the option, like I'll say to Dreamer, I go, I really want to do this, and he's like, I don't think it'll work. I go, trust me, it'll work. And he'll trust me, you know what I mean? And if it doesn't work, he knows I'm gonna be the first one to go, it's my fault, it sucked, you know what I mean? And I'll take responsibility for it. But
that's good.
But when you work with your friends, they're more willing to indulge you, your flights of fancy, so to speak, than people who just, who don't know you on a personal level.
Yeah. Was there an angle that you wanted to play but never got to play with either Dreamer or
Piper?
Sam?
There's a thing with Piper in WCW, but they just never let us do it.
Okay. What was it? What was going to be the angle?
Something about Piper, and because he's kind of a mentor to me in Portland,
Right.
and something about that. I forget exactly what.
Okay. All right. Cool. Aaron?
I don't mean to jump ahead, but another guy that you worked with, had some insane, brutal matches with, is CM Punk. CM Punk has been the talk of the wrestling world over the past couple of weeks for some comments he made during a press conference. Can you kind of give us an idea what it was like working with Punk? Like, what do you think of Punk? Did you see this press conference stuff? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I always put it like this. Punk thought he was the best worker in the business, and then he actually became the best worker in the business.
Oh, wow.
So, but you have to believe you're the best. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's like, I'm a big MMA fan, and so much of that, from what I understand, is all confidence. It's why certain guys win and certain guys lose, just based on confidence. And Punk had that, even before he was anywhere close to that level of being the best in the business, he believed that he was, and he would be, and he worked at it, and he became the best in the business. I don't know how his work is now. I haven't seen it. I don't watch it, but when I'm talking about when he was in WWE, his big run there, it was amazing. It was fantastic.
Did you ever get like a sense of the sort of like arrogant that people like talk about, that maybe he gets a little in his own way as far as like?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a quality I've seen him that I haven't myself. So
fair.
So it's obvious to me, when I see it, but it's not easy to get out of your own way sometimes.
Sure.
So you said you kind of mentioned just a few seconds ago, you don't watch. Do you not watch anymore? Any of the?
I haven't watched since the Alliance angle.
Oh wow!
Oh
yeah, 2000. Yeah,
2002.
Wait, weren't you there?
2002, yeah.
watching in the back.
No, I stopped watching it. I mean, I stopped watching it because it just so disappointed me, because they didn't use anybody, they didn't do anything with us, and it could have done big business, and I turned off, stopped watching, and then there was so much good stuff on TV, I didn't start watching again. I just never, I've been there, I've done it, I've seen it. I don't think there's gonna be much that's gonna surprise me anymore. I just don't have that love for watching it, but I still love to perform,
Right. So you'll be a part of it. You just won't watch it necessarily.
Yeah.
And
I'll watch it when I'm there. I'll watch the matches sometimes, or I'll read. But or if someone will ask me to watch their match, I'll watch it and give them my take. But yeah, I haven't watched it legitimately in 20 plus years.
Wow. Well, I got two questions pop up, but I only ask one right now. You just mentioned the idea of if people ask you, do people still come to young wrestlers, people coming up in the business, do they reach out to you and try to get your opinion on their matches out of respect and what have you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Which I think is a really smart thing, But what they'll do where they fuck up is they go, hey, did you see my match? I'm like, no, you should have told me ahead of time. You got to tell me. If you want me to watch it, tell me ahead of time, or I'll probably be in the back reading a book or something.
Right. Wow. Well, then I'll ask the other question real quick, since that was a quick answer. What did you think about the Ric Flair final match situation? Was that, as someone who is not doing it anymore, but will occasionally show up and might work again down the road, what did you think about that whole setup and then the match itself? Did you pay attention to any of that?
No, all I paid attention to was we talked on my podcast, the Raven Effect podcast. We talked about one of the guys that I do it with. He was just like, he couldn't believe Flair was doing it, and why would Flair do it? And I'm like, why not? The guy's not going to kill himself. Unless he has a heart attack, which he probably would have had anyway. It's not.
Which he's had. Yeah.
Flair's had has more bumps on his bump card than anybody ever. Nobody's taken more bumps in the history of the business than him, and it just doesn't bother him. If he wants to do it, why not? More power to him. If people want to pay to see him, that's
that's capitalism. If there's a product, there's a demand.
Yeah, and obviously he loves doing it. He doesn't want to stop doing it, so why make him? Right.
What do you got, Chris?
They're gonna have to drag Dreamer kicking and screaming out of the ring. They are. He loves it. I used to love it like that too, but you get older, you get beat up.
You're a Mensa dude, so you've got all the other things attracting your mind. So that logically, it wouldn't 100% just only be focused on wrestling. So that makes sense. Chris, what do you got for Raven?
Definitely tracks. Well, I was going to say it's interesting, that you're not watching the current product, because there's so much talk about, especially the rehab of WWE's product with Hunter behind creative. They're even dipping into your playbook of the whole corrupting somebody's son angle that they're doing with Rey Mysterio and Dominic. Yeah, it's very reminiscent of what the work that you did with Sandman back in ECW.
Oh, dude, that angle.
Gorgeous. Yours was much better because you could go a little bit more hardcore with it. But I was actually going to ask you something that has nothing to do with that whatsoever.
Speaking of that, let me segue into something completely different.
Exactly. I was curious because it looked like you had a long box behind you of comics, but I see many different knickknacks and trinkets there. And you said you've been collecting books for several years. Is there anything in your collection, or not just your comic book collection, but even just pop culture stuff, toys, statue, that's just the creme de la creme? As you can see, I'm a vintage wrestling shirt guy. Got my.
What I love? Somebody made this for me. The Raven statue.
Oh yeah,
the homemade one. Figure. And
here, let me. Wait, solo. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Close enough.
Wrong guy. There you go.
There it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I love the little Lucy thing from Lucifer from Disenchantment on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But I just got a bunch of crap, this crap I've collected over the years.
Yeah, same.
So do we.
So much crap.
Yeah, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you got?
Well, you talked about watching TV a lot. What TV shows does Raven watch? What are you out there watching? What do you recommend? Give me an idea. What are you watching? You go home or you go sit on the couch today. What are you putting on to watch?
Well, tonight I'm going to watch one Fighting Championships.
Okay. Oh, MMA. Gotcha.
MMA. Tomorrow I'm going to be watching the UFC. Because it's I watch that religiously every week. Or 90. The week it's on 45, 47 nights. Weeks a month, a year, a year. No, it really is like that. 45, 47 weeks a year. So when that doesn't come on, I'm very sad.
Yeah.
And then I'll watch whatever movie I haven't caught up to. But I don't know, tonight. Oh, I think we're watching the Daredevil thing on Netflix. I never caught that when it started.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So we're watching that. And then we're rewatching Cougar Town.
Oh, Courtney Cox. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that was really funny. It's even funnier than I remembered it. And I'm also watching News Radio again.
Oh
I
wow,
love News Radio, yeah.
Only the Phil Hartman episodes, right? You're not gonna watch the John Lovitz episodes. Right?
I never watched the John Lovitz one, so I'm gonna watch him. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, but I love John Lovitz, even when he's not funny. I love him.
That's his whole gimmick. He made a whole career out of that, not being funny, but somehow it works.
The shots there.
Oh my goodness. What
do you got?
I wanted to ask you, in your Hall of Fame speech, even you mentioned the fact that you're one of the last guys to like come through the territory system. And have you seen any of this Vice TV Tales from the Territory situation where they talked with the AWA, they talked about Memphis Wrestling, which you were a part of at one point, and the whole Kaufman Jerry Lawler thing?
Yeah, I wasn't there for that. I wasn't even in the business.
Yeah, not for that. Yeah. I'm not saying you're that old. I'm just saying I know you were in Memphis at one point.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
no time period.
I'm like in a no fun police when it comes to watching wrestling on TV.
Well, what do you? I mean, you've been doing stand. When we talked a couple of years ago, and first time you were on the channel, I mean, you talked about your stand up, and you were doing. Is that something you're still doing? Or are you?
I stopped doing everything because of COVID, and then when I went ready, when I started back doing just wrestling and personal appearances.
Okay.
At the end of the year, and then this year I haven't done anything because of more or less because of the knee surgeries, But I'll probably start doing some stand up and have I'll talk to Chris about that in a couple weeks, in a couple months or a month or two or something, and see what he can come up with for me.
Have you booked him before, Chris?
Not yet. We were trying to do something for something that was happening. It was like SummerSlam or something was in Vegas. We were trying to get something going, but yeah, then all of a sudden the world fell apart. So we'll figure it out.
Well, what's grabbing your interest now? Like, what are you into? I know you're talking about the UFC stuff. Is that pretty much your focus here, or you've been kind of getting into other things, other hobbies, other things that occupy your time? You mentioned COVID. Was there something you discovered during the COVID times, maybe?
I discovered that the new TV series are the lifeblood of people's my entertainment. Well, once they stop making new shows, you're like, yeah, thank God for Netflix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I'm a sloth. I'm really a sloth. Okay. I'm a couch potato. I love sitting on the couch and watching TV. I could probably sit on it for days at a time and not have a problem doing it. Other than stretching my back and knees out. I just don't have the same interest anymore. But also, I got a sleep disorder, so
okay.
It's debilitating in many ways, in the sense that, I'll go to bed at say 2:00. I'll wake up at 11, but at 5:00 I'll need a nap for a couple hours.
Right.
And then and that takes and then I was gonna other stuff I hadn't planned to do. Like I was gonna join in my new bought a new house. My old lady bought a new house a year ago, and so in the community they have a kickball league. So I was oh, this is great. I want to play kickball. That takes no athletic skill. I'll feel like I'm doing something. But then I couldn't because I had the knee surgeries. So I'll have to wait till next summer. But it's really between COVID and the knee surgeries. I've just been a couch. Laying on the couch watching TV. But luckily there's so much to keep my interest on TV that I watch a lot of the weird shit, and a lot of, but then there's what I miss, what I honestly miss.
Break it down. What do you miss?
There's not the TV used to have 22 episodes in a season. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like now everything's 8 episodes, which is great in the sense that you can binge it. You can watch it in a couple of days. But the bad thing is that when it's done, you got to wait you have 44 weeks to see the next season. It's like, geez, you know what I mean? And then when to watch it again, if you wait, enough years to watch it again, when you get to high spots, it's only once again 8 episodes. It's like I can't wait till the Blacklist is done. So I don't know. Once it's finally over, I'm gonna rewatch it from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Like I love the Blacklist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not making good shows. Everything now is either Law and Order Chicago or whatever. Chicago Fire. It's like,
now.
you know, and everything else is Dick Wolf. You know, Law and Order.
Yeah.
It's not as good though, man. I mean,
It's not.
I've watched the recent seasons, the last season.
Or it's all CSI. Like everything's there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not stories with a mythology to them.
Right.
You know, and so I love that. You know, when they have like in the Blacklist, the overriding thing is why is he helping her?
Right.
You know, but then she quit after like 7 years. You know, I don't know why, but she quit, and then but it's still good without her though. Luckily, you know, but it took a lot off her. It took a lot of luster off without whatever her name is. I forget.
Megan Boone. Yeah.
Megan Boone. Yeah. Yeah. Is she doing anything else now?
No, I think she just kind of got tired of doing the show. But you know, she's a Florida State graduate, so as am I. So I keep tabs on those people who work. But I think she just kind of got tired of it and wanted to see if there was something else out there for her. But I don't know what she's working on now.
You know, it was another great show. Was Blind Spot.
Oh yeah, with Jamie Alexander. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the tattoo thing. I remember that.
That's a great show. Person of Interest.
I remember that show.
With Jim Caviezel.
Oh right.
Oh okay.
What's his face from Lost? The Ben from Lost. He was in that show as well with him, with Person of Interest.
Yeah, he's on. He's also on Evil. The show Evil.
Oh right. Yeah.
But
Evil's supposed to be good. Evil's
it is. It's really good. I was watching that. Now it's on. Now it's down to 8 episodes a season. You know, it's on the network on a streaming. Yeah, you know, it's like. But anyway, there's no good shows like that anymore. You know.
Well, let me ask you a question, because this is a great kind of tangent to go on. I mean, everyone talks about, when they talk about you, especially in that promo as well that they created for you before the Hall of Fame induction, they talk about your mind. And I don't mean just the Mensa stuff, but I mean the way you were creating stuff, the way you were building stuff, the way you were, doing all the things and adapting and improvising and being involved in the storylines. Is there an interest? I know you don't watch anymore, but has there ever been an interest for you to kind of come in as a head booker, head creator for wrestling, or is it too limited for what you would want to create?
No, I mean, Vince had offered me a job doing that numerous times when I worked for him. I mean, originally when I was Johnny Polo, they made me an associate producer of Raw, and I was being groomed to be on a booking committee. But then I quit to go to ECW. Then when I went back, Vince offered me a job. I sold him on this idea, that storyline, the 7 Deadly Sins. And he asked me again if I wanted to be on the booking committee, but I didn't want to because I wanted to wrestle. Mm-hmm. Now I would take and then if anybody would have offered for a while, then I wouldn't have taken it, because it would have been like Vince wouldn't offer because I got heat there, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah, I'm sure I did.
You brought Warrior back. What heat could you possibly have that Warrior didn't have? I feel like.
But yeah, who knows? But maybe they don't care. But yeah, so I started working with Corgan on NWA as a road agent, nice. And but then the knee surgery. So I'll be back in December at the December shows with him. Mm-hmm. And then it's just a matter of having like I said, between COVID and then the knee surgeries, it's been 3 years.
Right.
That I haven't been around the business so much, just here and there. So, out of sight, out of mind.
Never. Aaron?
Never that.
I want to talk more about this MMA stuff, because I used to be super into MMA. Like I loved WEC, watching that was like my thing before I got absorbed into the UFC, and Strikeforce before it got absorbed. I like the UFC too and stuff, but like absorbed, yes. But who?
They didn't get absolved. They weren't guilty of anything.
You're right. Absorbed. Sorry, but
okay.
Who do you gravitate towards in MMA? For me, it's I love George St. Pierre. I like Matt Hughes because he was the rugged, tough guy, and then I loved Anderson Silva, even though towards the end he was doing some goofy stuff. But those are the guys that I gravitated towards. And then of course you had the women come in: Ronda, Misha. Amanda Nunes, of course. Like who do
Yeah,
you
now there's so many. Like now there's so many names, like the recognizable names. You know, not like there's very few people that are of a George St. Pierre level. I mean, let's be honest.
Sure,
you know,
sure.
But Charles Oliveira is getting there. You know,
Yeah.
Love Charles Oliveira. You know, I know I put him when I tracked him to be a top star way back when he was. But nobody was giving him any. He was always fighting like mid card guys, but he was just submitting everybody, you know, left and right.
Everybody out. Yeah,
everybody. And he didn't get any. Nobody fast tracked him. He just took the long. He took the long way around, you know, as Doctor Who would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, this card is going to be amazing. I'm not a shill for it. They're not paying me to. I wish they would. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to be an MMA commentator. I really love to do that, be a color man. But I don't know anybody who's hiring, and why would they hire me? I have no experience at it, but you know, but that's beside the point. Chris, see if you can get me booked on that.
I'll send out some feelers. I'll send out some feelers, sure. I'll talk to Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
about it.
I'll talk to some indie promotions. If you,
well,
if you will.
We'll work our way up. We'll start developmental.
Exactly. But but like tomorrow, the main event's Oliveira versus Makachev,
right?
Who's basically is undefeated except for one fight. But then the co-main event is Aljamain Sterling and TJ Dillashaw. The semi-main is Sean O'Malley and Peter Yan. Then there's who's next? Then Gambrot and Beneil Dariush and Caitlin Chikagian and I forget how to pronounce her name. But so those are 5 fights that could all of them could headline a fight night. You know what I mean? Let alone and then they have Sean Brady and Bilal Muhammad, on the headline, which would headline a fight card easily, and it's only in the top of the prelims.
Right.
I mean, it's an amazing card.
Well, let me ask you to kind of jump on what Aaron said at the MMA stuff. You say you're not watching the wrestling, but we've seen some wrestling type antics slide into the MMA. Does that irritate you when that happens?
I wish if they had any brains. Like for a while, like Alistair Overeem hired me at one point. Oh, just for to help him with promoing. I mean, it was just a short. He was in town they flew me down to Florida for a weekend. I spent it with him, and he really didn't need my help though. You know what I mean? Like, because I wanted to turn him heel. Now, if he would have turned heel, he would have been so much more over and drawn so much more money. Yeah. Because he's a good looking guy, and he has the PED backstory. Right. But I mean, like I so wanted to turn him heel, you know what I mean? Especially when you lose, that's when you realize, I wish somebody would hire me to be their manager. Mm-hmm. I tried to get Bobby Lashley to consider it, but he had no interest. Okay. But come on. I know, but yeah, it's to me it's so like, especially when you lose, when you're winning, and then you lose somehow. That's the perfect time to go. I didn't lose. The guy cheated. Yeah. The guy raked my eyes. He pulled my tights. I mean, whatever. He's on the gas. It's so easy to get heat. I mean, what was that poker? Remember when poker was really big?
Oh yeah.
There was that guy that who goes, if it was only math. It goes, if there's no luck to it, I'd be the best poker player ever.
Phil Hellmuth? That sounds like something.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. I don't think he knew he was being a heel, but he was just, that's who he was. But the problem is nobody wants to be a heel because they think everybody wants to be the hero. Nobody really wants to. That's why. What's that?
Except for Connor. Connor likes being the heel. McGregor.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he thinks he's a babyface, though. He still thinks he's a babyface.
Yeah. Well, that's the best heel, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, of course. But I'm saying, but he doesn't. I don't think he does it thinking he's a heel.
Oh, fair point.
But to me, that's why I was really good at what I did, because I truly wanted to be booed. I really didn't want to be cheered. Yeah. And that goes a long way, because most people, if they want to be heels, they usually want to be heels so they can be a cheered heel. Yeah. So that way, if they're a baby face and they're not cheered enough, then they're not over. But as a heel, if you're cheered, well, it just shows I'm even more over. No, you're not more over. You're more over doing the wrong thing. But,
Right. That's a rarity. Everyone likes to be liked. So
yeah, I know. But I
was be booed is a good thing.
I was unpopular, so I like being booed.
Which was like, it was crazy, like watching your career, like as it was happening, because to your point, so many people want to be the cool heel, and the Raven character is extremely cool. However, your actions always made it to where it's like, I can't support this fucking
right,
guy.
exactly. and that's the thing is you have to be despicable. You have to show your ass at the right time. Meaning you have to do something so despicable that the people go, oh, you know what? I can't condone that. It's like a lot of people like Trump when he first came out, because he said a lot of things that people liked, and he's charismatic. But then after a while, we were like, the majority, half the population anyway, goes, oh, come on, I can't be, I can't speak to that. But but he is charismatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
It's got to be a reason 74 million people voted for him. That's a fair point.
Yeah. I think a lot of those voted for him just because they didn't like their Democrat. But I don't want to turn this into a political dialogue.
That'll be a new tangent to jump into.
I was going to ask you about your podcast. Like, there's so many. There's so many. You have so many interests, as you've demonstrated here: pop culture, television, MMA, and now a little bit of politics too. All that rolled into one.
That's my podcast.
My main question, I guess, was going to be, why is Sick Boy your least favorite member of the flock?
Oh, come on.
What's Sick Boy?
I'm just kidding.
My least favorite member, it was a tie for first place amongst all of them.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I loved them all equally.
But even Van Hammer, come on.
Yeah, even Van Hammer.
All right.
And originally, didn't you tell me you didn't have say in who was going to be in the stable?
I never got a say in that. Like I wanted all new guys like Sick Boy, because I wanted guys that nobody had seen before. I didn't want a bunch of retreads, because they don't if you're going to retread somebody, you got to give them a year off of TV, sit them home and let them sit there, and then bring them back as something completely different. Don't just, like with Riggs, at least we gang beat him to make him turn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and Kidman was new, so that was cool. And Saturn, was my ECW buddy.
Yeah.
And love the shirt. And but then I started getting I no offense to Van Hammer or Ron Reese, but I wouldn't have picked them just because I didn't want retreads, you know what I mean? I wanted guys that nobody had seen before, because it was like when I remember when Sullivan brought in the Purple Haze down in Florida Championship Wrestling. You're like, wow, this guy's big. He's built. He can wrestle. Obviously, he's been around, but I never heard him. I have no idea who he is. It turned out the guy was like a Hall of Famer from the 50s, and he, Mark Lewin. But I didn't know that. I didn't know who he was. And to me, he was like, they found that they brought in this guy who's new, but he's not just a new guy who can't work. You know what I mean? Not that I knew what working was back then. Back then I thought Lex Luger was talented because Gordon Soley told me so.
Yeah. Ouch.
Well, no, I mean, but Lex will tell you when he first started, he didn't know what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just a bunch of
nobody knows what they're doing when they first start.
Yeah.
But so I wanted all new guys, and so they gave me all retreads, but I tried to make the most of it. And you do the most you can with what you got.
You absolutely did.
Do you have a favorite stable that you were part of? Is it the flock? Is it the Diamond
Mr. Ed stable?
Ed.
For all those who are 70
Wilbur,
years old,
Wilbur was a great horseman.
I couldn't make any sense of your ECW stable. It was like it's Why am I?
Was this Raven's Flock? Was this what that one was?
The
No,
Nest. It was the Nest.
Yes,
The
that's
Nest.
right. The Nest. Yeah.
Meanie and Stevie Richards.
Yeah, it was like Meanie, Stevie Richards. Then, like at one point, Cactus was sort of in it, and then like
he was kind of there, kind of
the
not.
Dudleys were sort of in it for a second. It was like a revolving door of misfits.
Well, the Dudleys, I created them,
Right.
And so we put them in the flock. But then eventually they all have to turn on me. So that was the whole deal with that. Like the Pit Bulls started with me. And I mean, they were already there, but they were with me. And then they turned on me. So I feuded with them. The Dudleys I started the Dudleys. Dudleys turned on me. I feuded with them. So basically it was just vehicles to get people over by putting them with me and then turning them on me,
Right. This is the list. Stevie Richards, Tony Stetson, Johnny Hotbody, the Pitbulls, the Blue Meanie, the Dudley Brothers, Cactus Jack, Beulah Francine, Kimono Wanalaya, Lupus, Laura, and Tyler Fullington, and Chastity. Jesus Christ. That's a revolving door.
Yeah. And the Musketeer for one night.
That's right.
I couldn't let my fandom go without talking about the thing with the Sandman. I guess we can call it a crucifixion. I guess we can call it that.
Yeah.
Now, I've always heard over the years and like all these documentaries and stuff that Paul Heyman had no idea. He's like, I didn't know Raven was going to do that. I had no idea. Can you talk about that? And Paul was definitely in the loop on this, was he not?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah. But can you talk more about how that came together? And you're like, you know what? Let's just crucify this guy.
Yeah, I was in rehab and because I had like an emotional breakdown and so I went to rehab and then when I came out, so they stripped the title off me and then I needed to come. Paulie wanted me to come back with an Impact, so I'm like, yeah, I'll crucify Sandman, and so we did it. I had him build his own crucifix because I have no lumber skills, no carpentry skills. Sandman built his own cross, but yeah, so we did that, and it had the right impact. The problem was that Kurt Angle was there. They were looking to hire him, and he knew nothing about pro wrestling, and he hadn't been to WWE or anything yet, and he knew nothing about it, and he was just mortified, And then because I'm Jewish, Paulie's Jewish, Todd Gordon's Jewish, a couple of people, in the locker room, like Taz, started to get upset about it. Go, just because you're Jewish, why don't you make a Jewish star out? Why don't you put him on a Jewish star? I'm like, well. First of all, it doesn't have any symbolism.
No one crucified anybody.
Secondly, he'd probably roll out the building.
Right.
It would just roll away. And to me, it had nothing to do with religion. It was just using my theory was always that Raven was a martyr for society's dysfunction, and I wanted Sandman to feel my pain. But it wasn't me, masturbating with a cross like Madonna. It wasn't quite that,
Well, it's interesting.
And the audience took it the right way. It was the right kind of heat. I was in the center of the ring, so that's where you can really tell. And it was the right. It was like quiet heat. It was like, oh shit, they did that. You know what I mean? And besides, even if it didn't get the right kind of heat, you never apologize when you're the Extreme Promotion. Right, you just have to like, okay, we better pull it back, if that's something you got to do, but you don't apologize for it. You don't apologize because that's not what your audience came to be, borderline mortified,
That's the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's always been interesting to me about that angle is like it caught as much flack as it did at the time. And then years later, fast forward, Undertaker, I feel like crucified several people, like one Austin, Stephanie, and it was just like, I guess we're okay with it now.
Yeah,
as long as it's Taker's symbol. I think that was the difference.
Maybe that's what Taz was saying. It just can't be the actual cross.
But the whole thing is it's a cross because you're using it for you're using it for not for the religious iconography, but for the symbolism. Yeah.
Absolutely.
How essential was if I can ask you this, because I've always been fascinated by the
I don't know, can you ask me this?
We'll find out. The Beulah McGillicuddy aspect of it all. How essential was she in that whole feud you had with Tommy?
Oh, Beulah was key. She was definitely a key to it. She was willing to get pile driven with her skirt around her, around her. Around her. Yeah, she was game. She was really game. She was a great player. She was a trooper.
Yeah.
I was likened to you guys' dynamic to like Wolverine, Jean Grey, and Cyclops in a very dysfunctional kind of way.
That's good. I like that.
Oh yeah, I figured you dig that.
Was there anything she wasn't up for? Was there anything?
Wait. So Tommy was Jean Grey?
Yeah, exactly.
You guys fought over.
That's the true love story of that triangle to me. It's you and Tommy. It's not Beulah.
Yeah, me and Beulah fought over Tommy.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Aaron, what do you got?
I always remember that it's Tommy's, like all that kind of all that kind of stuff. Joey Styles.
The best part though is she goes, it's not yours, and then people start chanting Stevie, and I go, and she goes, it's not his, and then they go meanie.
Yeah, and then I believe you slapped the living crap out of Stevie when that happened, when people thought it might be Stevie. So there you go. But we talked before we got on air. We talked about
Sorry, Aaron. Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
Because she's married to Tommy. Was there any possibility that she was going to show up on the stage with you and Tommy at the Impact?
Not that I know of.
Okay. It would have been nice.
I gotta go in about 5-10 minutes. Yeah. So you know.
Sorry. Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
What are the
and depending if I like this question, I may have to go soon.
No, you'll like it. But before we got on air, we were talking about like one of the most iconic things that I remember you from for sure is the WCW NWO Revenge cover of the game. Like it's Hulk Hogan, it's Goldberg, it's Kevin Nash, and it's Raven. Can you tell the listeners that same story you told us about how you got on the cover? Because that
was on the air. I told that, didn't I?
No,
we hadn't started.
No, we were off air.
Oh, were we? Okay. Yeah, no. So so my boys were like, how'd you get on the cover? You know, because I mean, one of these things is not like the other, like that Sesame Street song. You know, like, and I really, the way I was being pushed and the way Goldberg, Hogan, and Nash were being pushed, I really wasn't quite at their level. Not even close. So my boys were like, "All right, would you suck a dick for that?" And I'm like, I have no idea how I got on the cover. And you must have blown somebody. I'm like, I got no idea. And then like 6 months later, the guy who invented the game, who created the game, came up to me like at some thing and introduced himself. And he goes, "I'm the reason you're on the cover." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You're my favorite wrestler, so I put you on the cover." It's like, "Yeah, thank you, man. That's really cool."
There you go.
That's awesome.
I love that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you got?
I was wondering, would there ever be? I know you talked about you'd be down to do some creative stuff. You still love to perform. Would you ever be interested in doing a more like on-camera mentor role of like a new flock of like younger talent that's currently working in one of these companies?
Sure, I have no problem. But I mean, like I said, I've been between COVID and then my knee surgeries, and then I'm going to be getting shoulder surgery next year. So it's like, I haven't put myself out there, but if anybody's listening, I definitely would consider it,
Yeah.
Because I have to say it. I have to give you your flowers. Everyone still loves you, man. Everyone still, you've influenced so many wrestlers that are currently like the Bray Wyatts of the world, the Gigi Dolans of the world.
Darby Allin.
Influence is very clear.
Yeah.
You've made such an impact, no pun intended. And we just really thank you for everything that you've done in the business and to entertain us and all that stuff, man. And I mean, that one shot you did in AEW where you were just in the crowd and everybody lost their mind. Like, it's evident there that you're still very much a part of this thing.
Cool. Thank you.
We got one question that came in from a fan here, paid to send a question in. So we'll cut you a check after this, Raven. Dagan says, "Hey, y'all, was fortunate to be in attendance for Raven's induction at Bound for Glory. That one last DDT to Dreamer was perfect. How did the conversations with Tommy and Scott D'Amore come together in terms of booking that spot?"
Basically, they gave me like 13 minutes for the whole segment. and I didn't know how long I thought I was going to get like a minute or two. So I was just assuming, that I'd say a few words in DDT Dreamer. And then, Dreamer was like, he figured I'd say whatever I'd say and DDT him. And so we both were on the same page, and then it was just a matter of just doing it, clearing it and doing it.
All right. So you both were of like minds and then just
Like
got
minds.
clearance and did
In
it.
fact, when I snubbed him when I walked out, I didn't want to. I wanted to shake his hand. I was going to shake his hand, but he goes, "No, snub me. It'll be funnier." And I go, "Yeah, but I don't want to give away the finish, But he goes, and then he's like, "I don't think it will." And I'm like, "All right, I trust you." So it's full circle. I used to say that to him, trust me in this, and he trusts me. Now I'm trusting him, and he was right. It got a great reaction, me snubbing him, but it didn't even come close to giving away the finish, because after 8 minutes of speaking, you forget all that,
Right.
And plus, the closing line I came up with was, and tonight our 28-year feud ends tonight. Our 28-year feud ends tonight. It almost ended. Couldn't let it end.
No, man. I think something's got to stay forever. I do want to ask one last question here. Something you really spoke about at your retirement speech, which I thought was really great and surprising, was your personal journey with your demons, with therapy, with all of that. Before you go, can you speak a little bit about that, or maybe offer some encouraging words to anyone who might be going through their own kind of journey right now or in the middle of it, as they deal with their own kind of mental health stuff?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to talk about it. You got to talk about it. You got to let it out of you. Seeing a psychiatrist was one of the most important things I ever did. I know, like I've told friends to go see one, and they get mad. They're like, what are you saying? I'm psychotic. I'm like, no. I'm like, look, if you have a broken bone, you put a cast on it. If you have a chemical imbalance in your head, you need, medication. And sometimes it has nothing to do with the chemical imbalance, it's just the situation you're in. And there's nothing wrong with getting help. In fact, it takes balls to get help. Anybody can suffer. Suffering doesn't take any balls. There's no courage in that.
Yeah, it's the stigma that has to be broken in the end. Because as you said, so many people think it's because there's something wrong with you if you go to a psychiatrist, when in fact it could be the key to you finally stopping some of these patterns that are destructive to your life or self-destructive to your life, for sure. So.
Yeah, in fact, every episode of the podcast, the whole thing's a shit show. We just, it's there's no preparation whatsoever. We make sure of that, and put little to no effort into it. And but we always make sure at the end we give the number to an addiction hotline and to addictionrecovery.org, and just so people can learn about it, and not just if they have addictions, but if they live with somebody who has addictions, right. Enabling and stuff like that. That's just as rough on a person who lives with the addict.
Yeah.
So
great point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raven. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us, being on the Strong Style Show. It means so much, and thanks for going back through your career and talking about those things and all the other things you have interest in. His podcast, The Raven Effect, I imagine is the call of it, since you mentioned it a couple of times. That's what it's called. Go and download it. Go and follow it. Is there anything else you want to promote or say for people to go and follow you on anything else?
Not really.
Okay. We got to get you on TikTok, man. You got to get on TikTok, dude. That's the next step for you. Come on.
No interest.
Chevy Chase has like 6 million followers on that thing. You got to get on it. Come on.
I have to pay if I can work out with Chris a financial situation, financially get paid.
Yeah,
we'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us from Aaron, Chris, and I. We appreciate it madly, Raven. We hope we see you again down the road on the show.
Thanks, guys. Thank
you, sir.
Take care, brother. All right, that was the Raven. Quote the Raven nevermore. That was awesome having him on the channel. We're going to go on for another hour talking about everything going on in the world of professional wrestling as well. And I'm sure if you have any follow-up questions for Raven, maybe Chris can get the information out to him when the time is right, for sure. But we appreciate it madly, his time with us. We have the Streamlabs and SuperChats are open now as we go into the next hour of the show. If you have anything you want to ask us about, feel free to do so. But real quick, gentlemen, thoughts on Raven? Thoughts on him hanging out with us for an hour? Any kind of reactions here?
Go ahead, Aaron.
I've always liked Raven as a character. I've always heard that he's a great guy. And, Paul Heyman said on the Rise and Fall of ECW that Raven is his favorite wrestling character of all time. I don't know if Paul's just BSing or whatever, but he's always been a guy that I think, Chris said he's going to give him his flowers, and Impact definitely did that. But I think he's a guy that doesn't get enough credit for what he's done, especially that ECW, that ECW run is legendary. That's all you can really say about it. Then he goes to WCW and he cuts these like crazy poem things. He would just kind of show up in the crowd, and it made Mean Gene Okerlund so uncomfortable. And it was fun to watch. And then WWE, hardcore stuff here or there. Goes on, reinvents himself in TNA. Does the stuff with CM Punk and Ring of Honor. Like, it's just the guy's incredible. Has influenced so many people that probably don't even know that he's influenced them. It's just he's another guy you could probably, like we talked about Logan Paul last week, learning from Andy Kaufman. You can't tell me that a guy like Darby Allin can't learn from Raven. Like, could you imagine if that was a thing? Like, instead of Sting, love Sting to death, but like, what if Darby Allin was with Raven? Like, you gotta be that's a money combination. It's just he's a guy that would be that has influenced generations and will forever. He's just that good.
Chris?
Besides learning that he's a big Cougar Town fan,
Courtney Cox.
Hello.
That was my biggest takeaway. A lot of conversations I've had with him in the past. He seemed relatively disinterested in the wrestling business. Definitely from a watching it standpoint, but even really being involved. But now to hear that he'd very much be open to being a part of a creative process or being on camera again and, help nurture and foster a lot of these younger talents. I think that's super exciting. Like, how many times have we talked about Tony Khan, utilizing these guys who have minds for the business, who got a better mind for it than Raven? You know what I mean?
True.
Like, you get him in there in a creative capacity, you could really be onto something. And that might even help mend, some of the feelings with a certain CM Punk, who one of his defining feuds was with Raven. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, who knows? Who knows? It's the possibilities are out there. And hey, listen, I might drop a little exclusive here. There might be a little indie promotion here in Southern California that might be doing some work with Raven that I might be shepherding. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Book me softly, brother.
Hello. I like the idea too. I mean, I think this is such an interesting point you bring up, Chris. This would be the time. I mean, he's recovering from his knee surgery. Looks like he's almost fully mended. He's consistently working with the mental health stuff, so he's back in a good level place. And he's got this kind of perspective now where he actually might be interested now. As you said, he walked away from it. He said himself, it's been a while since I watched, but it sounded to me like he'd be open to maybe walking back in and taking a look at all this kind of stuff and maybe offering his 2 cents. And I'll be goddamned if P.S. Michael Hayes can't do it for 4 decades and Raven can't, for fuck's sake. So Raven should absolutely get in the back there and help people out with their promos, with their angles, with their storylines, all that. Veterans in the back is always a good thing for wrestlers, man. It always is. So maybe if Tony Khan, if you happen to be watching, you might consider bringing Raven in to be a consultant initially, and then maybe see where else you can put him to help you with the booking and all of that. So
especially because of what you touched on, John. I mean, so much of I think what was holding Raven back in the past was a lot of these mental health issues that he finally felt like, you know what, I need to work on this. And now that he's kind of deep in that scenario, like you said, now he's way better equipped to handle that stress, that travel, that all those things that beat you down, being part of this thing, So I'd love to see a clear-minded, clear-spirited, Scott Levy, not just Raven, have a new chapter in this business.
Yeah. And certainly seeing him hanging out with us for an hour, guy has many, many interests and is willing to talk off the cuff on all of them knowledgeably. So that's a good thing, for God's sakes. All right, let's move on, Aaron, to where do we want to start, my brother?
We're going to start with Disney Plus.
What?
I wanted to start here because I think this is cool. AAA and Marvel are getting together for the show Marvel Lucha Libre Edition El Origen de la Mascara. a series for Disney Plus. This show will debut.
You hurt my ears with that, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm fucking horrible at Spanish.
Right.
The show will debut December 21st. No word yet on if it will be a worldwide Disney Plus release or limited to Latin America. The trailer shows Lucha Libre characters inspired by Captain America, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, as well as Venom, Thanos, and Black Widow, interspersed with wrestling action, comic book panels, and just it very much looks like Lucha Underground for Disney. And I'm like, hell yeah. So I was super into the trailer. It's not in English at all. So if you have a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you, but I thought it looked awesome. So did you guys get to look at this? Do you care? What do you think?
Oh, I think it's great. And the Venn diagram here of superheroes and pro wrestlers is a big Venn diagram. So this is a great mixture, or great combination of corporations coming together or organizations coming together to put this together. And everyone was tweeting about this Triple Mania, Triple X in Mexico City this past Saturday. I was seeing it all over my feed and was like, what is this? I don't even know what this is. And so looking into it, I was like, God damn it. It would have been nice to, to be established enough for us to send somebody down there to cover it, because it would have been pretty cool. So to hear that they're doing this as a special on December 21st for Disney Plus, that's awesome, and so more of this and having more exposure to the Lucha Libre side of professional wrestling, I think is awesome. And having them wearing the masks, which has been the typical thing in Lucha Libre, having that extended to superheroes who sometimes wear masks, it all just makes sense in the world. And Marvel reaching out to the Latino community to create a big foothold in the people who go and watch these movies and enjoy the superhero movies is a smart move overall. So just all of it just makes the most sense in the world. What did you think, Chris?
I think it's a hand in glove, a perfect absolute fit. How many times have we seen Rey Mysterio come out with a Captain America outfit?
Right.
Or just like the
Spider-Man.
Joker or whatever. And I remember watching those old Mil Máscaras movies on the UHF channels where it's just like this. I mean, they are bananas movies if you
nuts.
go out of your way to watch these things. But so yeah, it just makes perfect sense to me. And I mean, kudos to whoever at Disney that, did the reaching out, and kudos to Conan, who's the creative director at AAA, who's definitely got to be involved in this if it's happening. So kudos to all of them involved. I think it makes perfect sense. No brainer. It's creating an awareness to a side of professional wrestling that doesn't get the shine that it should have here in the United States. I think it's great all around. I haven't seen any of the materials yet, but I think this could succeed in a way that like a Lucha Underground and things like that didn't quite make the foothold that they were looking for.
Yeah.
But
it's what I'm hoping for, man, because like that's what I want to see more out of Marvel Studios as well. Because we talked off air about Werewolf by Night. Like I think we all love Werewolf by Night. So the She-Hulks and the Hawkeyes and the Lokis and all that stuff is great too. But when they want to go out on a limb and do something completely different, you got to support it, man, because you're going to get more of it if you support it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Conan, you mentioned Conan, Chris. I'm taking this quotes from WrestlingInc.com. He was talking about this whole situation, and he said, Marvel never worked with wrestling before. We've never worked with Marvel, so it's kind of an experiment. Now, of course, he forgets that Bonesaw was in Spider-Man, but whatever. We're the first ones. We'll be the first ones to make mistakes and shit like that. We started during COVID when there were no fans. There wasn't a lot of resources. They weren't sure if they were even going to stick around with us or not. And they started out initially with a Spider-Man and a Captain America. And then Conan says, Disney didn't just go in blind. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting after effing meeting because they go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. They're very detail-oriented. There's a reason they're where they're at. And I've learned a lot through this process. So working together with them and said it. But I guess because they show us remarks from their fans, the fans are loving it. The Disney Plus fans are. They like it a lot, and they're all in. I would not be surprised if you see more of this on Disney Plus down the road. So that's a good thing.
Do you think this is the opening act in the long rumored notion of Disney getting into the wrestling business? There had been a lot of talks of Disney buying the WWE when Vince McMahon was sort of floundering in the situation. maybe they're thinking, hey, this is our little testing ground, what we can do with the characters of AAA and, you know, having a live property in conjunction with what we do, movies, television, things like that.
Do you want a company that'll legitimately go toe to toe with the WWE, have Disney buy them and absolutely sink the resources and attract the talent to be a part of that and steal some of the talent? Disney would be a corporation that could absolutely look at it and possibly take their chances. And like anything else, you said exactly, Chris, the synergy of it, being able to promote their stuff through their naturally, rather than having 35 Black Adam commercials during the NBA playoffs where nobody's actually connected to the movie, you'd actually have wrestlers dressed up in the gear or doing certain things or maybe even part of the movies as kind of a small scene or whatever. It could all work in synergy ways because it fits the Disney brand to have storylines that are funny but still not lose the stakes. So that's professional wrestling to a T. So it would absolutely be in the wheelhouse for sure.
That's why I always thought that Robert Rodriguez messed up. Johnny Mundo told me this, and I don't think Lucha Underground's ever coming back, so I don't think it matters at this point. But he was like, a little secret that Robert Rodriguez told him was that Lucha Underground took place in the Robert Rodriguez Machete, Desperado, El Mariachi, that whole universe.
The El Rey universe, essentially. Yeah.
Exactly. That Lucha Underground exists in that universe. That's why there's demons and resurrections and that whole sort of thing.
Johnny Depp going to show up?
Oh, God.
Possibly.
See, I'll bet you $7 that Disney does not buy the WWE.
Nice.
There you go.
Good stuff. No, I don't think Disney will buy WWE, but they might buy a promotion ready-made and just kind of pump a lot of money into it. It's possible.
I'll also bet you $7, but that's not going to happen.
Okay, fair enough. All right, what do we move to next here, Aaron? And please keep sending in your Streamlabs super chats, ladies and gentlemen. What do you want to talk about here as we go through the next hour of the show? Go ahead.
Going to blow through Monday Night Raw here. Yeah. Started off hot. Brock Lesnar and Lashley brawl through the arena, ending with Brock getting speared through the barricade and spine bustered on the announce table. It's fucking badass. Gallows and Anderson defeated the Alpha Academy with the Magic Killer, and then we had the Judgment Day come out after, setting up a match between Dominic and AJ Styles for later in the show. Seth Rollins cut a promo and is interrupted by Mustafa Ali. Seth praises Ali and then beats him up. Io Sky and Dakota Kai, collectively known as Kai and Sky, thank you, Jim Cornette, defeats Bianca Belair and Candice LeRae due to Bayley distracting Bianca Belair. JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, Hall of Famer, is out next to introduce us to his new protege, Baron Corbin, with gear that I swear looks like someone cut up a mattress. Anyway, Corbin went on to defeat Dolph Ziggler shortly after. I can't believe I'm going to say this sentence. Dominic Mysterio defeated AJ Styles with a roll-up. Miz got a measure of revenge on Dexter Lumis by beating him with a chair, sort of. And then Elias returns, gets interrupted by Riddle, who wants to play bongos with him. Then Seth Rollins comes out, wins the U.S. title, keeps his U.S. title. The end of the match becomes a cluster. And then Elias got stomped, as did Riddle. So that's how we ended the show, with Seth Rollins and Ali as well battling at the end of the show. So there you go. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Super unique way to start Monday Night Raw. And this is what we always say. It doesn't take much. Just a slightly different presentation goes a long way. I've never seen, I don't think, Raw starting with someone mid-conversation in the ring. I don't think I've ever seen that. But it immediately gave it this feel of like, wait, did I miss something? Did I tune in wrong? Or and then you're captivated because it breaks the routine up of, oh, welcome to Monday Night Raw, fireworks, music, somebody comes out. It's just like, oh shit, we're already in the thick of things. All right, let me see what's going on. And then to do such a Paul Heyman booking move of just like, all right, we're just gonna have these two big badasses break everything in the wake of their fight. And who doesn't want to see that? Like I said last week, this is a match that really needs no story.
Yeah,
you see these two guys stare at each other if you saw them stare at each other at an airport, you'd be like, I want to watch those two dudes fight. You know what I mean? And so here we are, and it's absolutely great. Like I said, I'll stick to overall thoughts of the episode. Never thought that I would need to see a 10-minute plus Dolph Ziggler Baron Corbin match on Monday Night Raw. Look, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to give it a chance.
Boo.
I'm going to give it a chance.
All right.
He's got his name back. He's not Happy Corbin anymore. But if you're going to do it, change the music, change the Titantron, and burn those tights that he was wearing. To Aaron's point, that was worse than the Shawn Michaels doo-doo brown trunks that he wore in the Hell in a Cell at one time or whatever it was against Triple H. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And look, Corbin can be an effective mid-card heel. He can be.
Okay.
Listen to what I'm saying. A effective mid-card villain. That's all he can. I don't think there's a level past that for him. Maybe somewhere in the depths of his soul they're in. And I will dare say, when he was Bummy Corbin, he was over. He was entertaining.
True.
So there's something there. It's not like there's nothing there. Something's there. I can almost tell by your reaction, John, that you hated the fact that Mr. Dominic beat AJ Styles. I can't believe I'm saying this. I love it. I love it. I thought it was perfect.
You fucking mark.
I thought it was perfect. It is exactly what I wanted from Judgment Day from day one, which was, why don't we like these guys? And they're giving us it every single week. They're becoming the best act on Raw, and I can't believe it, considering what we were talking about with them and how stale that storyline has gotten. But the way Triple H's team has been able to weave in this sort of multiple things going on at once involving multiple characters in each storyline is genius. Like, look at the Seth Rollins thing. We kept talking about there's no story for the U.S. title. Lashley's just coming out and beating people. There's no story. Seth becomes the champion. He screws Lashley out of it because of Brock Lesnar. That starts a whole new feud over there.
Yeah.
Then Elias makes his return. Riddle's involved, who was the old villain. So now it's this whole three-way thing between Elias and Riddle and Rollins. And there's a story now for the U.S. title. And it's just like, it's so good when he does that. And that's what they did with Judgment Day in this AJ, now the Good Brothers in the mix. Love the whole Good Brothers being Money Mark's storyline, gimmick or whatever. I told you, Aaron, they can be entertaining. They can be entertaining when booked correctly. And I thought they had a good match, too. I definitely thought they had a good match.
Yeah.
We need some progression. I'm still harping this whole thing. We need progression in this Miz storyline. They teased us with progression, and now it just got. Look, the wrinkle of that Gargano knows something about Miz and Loomis's relationship. I feel like that should have happened like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's weird to weave him into it now. I know, I agree with you. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, all right, what is it? All right, I've lost patience with this storyline. It's time to just get to it. And I kind of feel that way about the whole Damage Control, Bianca thing also, because it's like, all right, now it's just becoming Bianca and whoever's not injured versus the Damage Control, and there's not a compelling story there whatsoever for me. But yeah, that's my raw reaction.
Okay. Here are my 2 cents on this whole thing. And this felt like the Black Adam movie, which is mixed results in my personal opinion. Some good moments, some moments I enjoyed, but then some moments that I'm like, for the love of God, what are we doing here? Why is this still a thing? Lesnar and Lashley, what a way to start the show. Good God almighty. As Aaron has said many times, meaty man, big meaty man slapping meat. That's what this was. I mentioned Vince had a 6 foot long hard on watching this battle between those guys. And the way it ends with that spine buster through the table was perfect. Lashley getting Lesnar back for what Lesnar did to him last week, it was perfect. So I'm like, I was kind of on the fence about this, to be honest with you, because I'm like, does Brock really need to be in a mid-card feud with Lashley? But then I was like, all right, let's see what happens. This looks like a lot of fun. Why not? Let him have fun destroying each other. The Gallows and Anderson thing, I like it. I mean, which one's the tall one? Is it Gallows or is it Anderson?
That's Big Dog Gallows, baby. Come on.
Right. Gallows
Big
gets away
LG.
with wearing some interesting outfits. Let me just put that on the table. My man has a little S&M in the background there somewhere because some of the outfits he wears, I'm a little like, okay, all right, we're going to play the games. I'm cool with it. But so I'm glad that they're there and they're doing their thing. It certainly feels like a better run already 2 weeks into it than they had when they left. The Raw, Mustafa Ali really impressed me. I was like, when he first came out, I'm like, fuck, do I really give a shit? This guy gets beat by everybody now. But his back and forth with Rollins was great. And letting him be Mustafa Ali, coming out with the yellow sneakers and the yellow shirt matching. He looked with the cornrows. All of it looks so good in its approach. And so him kind of matching the style of Seth in a different way really worked, ripping the glasses off, all of that. And Seth playing with him to help get him over was good too. And then later when, of course, he beats up Seth after he wins that match against Riddle, that was great. And Seth, kudos to you for allowing that whole thing to happen to put Ali over as a possible contender for your belt. I thought that was great. Yeah, I'm really done with Damage Control. It really is not working for me. Maybe other people love it as much as they claim they do, but I think it's boring. And the Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, sadly, she had to take the pin. It was really just a waste of time for me personally. The JBL thing shocked the shit out of me. Like, why is he coming back? And then I thought Triple H makes all the sense in the world. Why not? But Corbin, man, that's like teasing that you're really good in bed. Then you get in there and you're done in 30 seconds. It just was like no good for me at all. They
all get excited sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Took a turn.
But yeah, all right. So that whole thing, and then having it be Corbin, that is just a horrible introduction, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It just was bad. And you're right, the gear was horrible. The using the same music made no sense. And poor Ziggler having to take the pin to put Corbin over. No offense to Ziggler, but that doesn't really put Corbin over. So it just didn't. All of it was a terrible run. I kind of feel bad for Baron because I'm like, no matter what they try to change him into, in the end, it's never quite enough. And yeah, he had that little run where people liked him as that heel, as you're mentioning, Chris, but it's never really kind of transferred over or consistently stayed. And so, yeah, I don't think it was good. Zeno Hour said it would have been better if it was Austin Theory. That could have been interesting. A new daddy, a new kind of Vince. It would have been interesting, I think, to throw that wrinkle in there for sure. Yeah, the Dominic Mysterio thing. Oh, man, I was so mad about that. Not because I didn't think it would be good for the Judgment Day. Sure, why not? But it wasn't believable. It was a simple roll-up. There was no hand with quarters in it. There was no hit with the fucking stick or something like that. It was just Rhea holding his leg or whatever, and then Dominic got the best of him and pinned him. It was terrible. And I'm like, this is bullshit. This is a guy who has fought for 40 minutes to not lose a belt. He's going to take a loss here, and it didn't make sense. And the Miz stuff really pissed me off because Miz was hitting the floor. Miz was hitting the floor with the chair, and it was so obvious that I was just like, just hit the fucking guy with the chair. Make sure just make the tip hit the floor, but the rest of it's got to hit his body. Basic wrestling, and I thought it was terribly done. But I did like the finisher on the chair. That was good. I had no problem with that. Elias, man, I liked it better when it was Ezekiel. So I have no positive feelings about the Elias situation. Riddle getting involved with the bongos. I guess they got to give him something to do. And then of course, Elias ending up costing him the match, and Rollins did his thing by stomping him. So yeah, the Rollins stuff was good. The Lashley and Lesnar stuff was good. I like the Judgment Day promo. I mean, what's his face Finn saying, I started this stupid little club, I'm gonna break it. Like, I like that, and him doing the little gestures that feel like he's going back to old school Bullet Club, I thought was good too. So nice mixture in that way. But in the end, there was just too much that I didn't like. So this was kind of a, how do I say it, 2.5 out of 5 version of Raw for me. What about you there, Aaron?
Listen, I know I harp on AEW Dynamite a lot, but this episode of Raw, like after the Lashley and Lesnar segment, took a steep decline in quality, in story. The Lashley Lesnar stuff was amazing. I don't know how many times we're gonna break that barricade. It kind of loses like a little bit of luster after they do it like all the time. Don't get me wrong, it's still cool, but like when Lashley did like the one-arm spine buster, I was like, oh my god. Yeah, that's big men. I'm gonna skip all the way to the Dominic Mysterio thing in AJ Styles, which I hated. I didn't like it, but I'm with Chris. I'm starting to like Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, you guys, come on! Oh my god!
I'm gonna say this, and here it comes.
Can't even do promo. All right.
Here comes the comments. You don't have to. Out of the 4 members of Judgment Day, I like Finn Balor in the group the least.
Wow.
Like Damian Priest is like my guy, and then Rhea is amazing, as we saw on NXT. Hello, and then you had Dominic, who's coming in there, and it's like, you know, the sins of the father on the son, like whatever, however you want to do it. He's bigger than Finn Balor. Like Dominic Mysterio's taller than him. Like he has a bigger presence, I feel like, than Finn right now. And I don't think Finn is bringing down the group. I just really think they need a leader. It's like, yeah, we're all equals, blah, 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 blah. I feel like Damian Priest needs to be the leader of the Judgment Day. Like, let's just make him the leader. Or Rhea, I don't care. Just make one of them the leader. And it's just go with that. But it's not Finn. Like, I love Finn, but it's not Finn. Have him do something else.
It's disrespect every week of Finn not being the leader. I don't get what's happening. What is this gimmick that you guys got together to disrespect Prince Devitt as the leader of the group? He's the leader. What is this?
I guess. Got a little Napoleon complex. But after that, it just, like, the Miz stuff, like, even the Gargano stuff. Like, Gargano kept popping up, and he was like, I was like, but this is the Johnny Gargano that I don't like. Like, I don't like this goofy stuff. Like, the stuff he did with Loomis and NXT was, like, funny, but at one point I was like, dude, the way, like, this group sucks.
Yeah.
And, like, Gargano in it sucks. Like, I don't like that at all. I like to see Johnny wrestle and do stuff. I don't need to see him goofing with the Miz and Dexter Loomis. I don't need to see that. They don't need to drag him down. I'm done with that storyline. Forget it. It's over. When Mick Foley goes on Twitter and says, I don't know, Miz, there's a lot of daylight in between those chair swings. Time to stop. It just wasn't good all around. And then you had Elias coming back, which I was excited for because I like Elias.
Right.
And then it's just a mess. Yeah. Like we saw Ali get, like, Seth got the better of Ali, and then Ali got the better of him. And it's like, does anybody really think that Mustafa Ali, no offense, is going to beat Seth Rollins? There's no way. This is not going to happen. Yeah. Just bleh, episode of Raw.
Yeah. I agree with you. What you were saying, the idea of what we saying first? Sorry, the Lashley thing. Yeah, it felt to me like Saving Private Ryan. After those first 30 minutes, the film kind of slowly goes downhill for me. That's what this Raw felt like. I think you're 100% right there. Yeah, we should leave Finn Balor alone for a bit, I suppose, unless Chris blows up. All right, we have no Streamlabs and Super Chat, so let's move on, Aaron, to our next thing. What do we got?
Oh, wait, real quick, guys. Doesn't it seem like the way now that they're putting this spotlight on Rhea, that it would be the perfect build to WrestleMania for her and Bianca?
Let's go.
I'm down.
Like her wrestling again this week was like so I didn't realize how impactful it was. Because I almost like forgot that she hasn't wrestled in months and months and months.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then I was looking at her and it was just like, oh yeah, that's like them being kept apart the way that they are. Yeah. When they get face to face, it's definitely going to be something special. And I thought about that too with the Loomis thing and why Gargano is even the person that's involved.
Yeah.
Who is Mrs. Stooge? Ciampa.
Oh, Ciampa. Oh, shit.
So at some point,
Gargano Ciampa at WrestleMania?
At some point, they're going to have to come face to face if he's involved with The Miz, right?
Gargano Ciampa 37.
The Miz and Ciampa versus Gargano and Loomis. I don't like it.
I don't like that.
That's what you're gonna
No one
get.
likes that. No.
You're gonna get crown jewel, baby.
They splinter off into their own story.
Can I give a shout out to AJ? I mean, AJ saying, "Can you three come to play, or do you have to ask your mom?" I mean, that was a fucking great line. Okay, that was a fucking great line.
Listen,
So,
if you want mommy, you get mommy. If you want poppy, you get poppy. That's what Rhea says.
That's what Rhea says. She needs, but they need a woman. They need a woman. The Good Brothers and AJ. They need someone to counter Rhea so Rhea can be involved
and not
have
Liv.
these fights.
Liv was never in Bullet Club. All you people out there who said that she was in.
Who said that?
Never.
No, she's gonna end up in the fucking Fiend shit or whatever.
Who's gonna go up against Rhea Ripley? Smiley Raquel? I don't know.
Well, Beth, clearly. Next, when she comes back from that injury thing that they're playing around with.
War Games, baby.
Yeah, let's make it happen. All right. Where are we off to next, brother?
We are off to the territories to talk about Tales from the Territories. This week it was the AWA that was featured. Our roundtable for this episode was Greg Gagne, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, shout out to him, Ken Patera, Medusa, and DDP for some reason, who was in like 2 minutes of it. We got some great stories about Ric Flair quitting Vern's camp after like a day. Ric Flair, everybody. Some crazy Mad Dog Vachon stories, probably the highlight of the episode. Bobby Heenan and some poop. Sherry Martel throwing blizzards out of a window, like Dairy Queen blizzards, out of a window onto a coming car. Ken Patera just basically denying the whole McDonald's incident, like he didn't do it, but he totally did. It is worth noting that several stars trained in Minnesota with Vern Gagne. Sergeant Slaughter, Larry the Axe Hennig, Jimmy Valiant, Baron Von Raschke, Kurt Hennig, Dick the Bruiser, Ole Anderson, Ricky Steamboat, and some guy named the Iron Sheik. So a big-time lineage for the AWA and Vern Gagne. What'd you guys think of this episode?
Right here. I break that jabroni Jim Brunzell back on these nights and every night. Listen, I mean, I can no longer think of Jumpin' Jim Brunzell and the Killer Bees. I have to, and I always think of him now as Sheik's whipping boy all the time on Twitter. He hates Brunzell so much, but it was great to see. B. Brian Blair. That's right. I love this was a good roundtable because they all kind of had their own personalities and they didn't need Jeff Jarrett to guide them where they needed to go. I imagine the reason they brought DDP in, well, he did have a start there, so there was a reason to bring him in, but I imagine he was there to kind of maybe shepherd things for the old guys in case it got out of hand, or Medusa in case it got like roaming tangents. But he didn't need to say too much. The Gagne stories were great because it's rare when you hear about a promoter from those territories who was universally liked. And it seems like Gagne was tough, but he was fair. Medusa gave him his flowers. Everybody at that table gave him his flowers, including his own son. And then hearing about the Vince stuff that they didn't, I thought because Rock's been WWE, he'd shy away from showing that kind of stuff, but they made it really clear at the end how Vince went in there and screwed them over with Hogan. And then a number of other people left as well. But Gagne kept doing it, kept fighting it all the way until the very end. Medusa stuff was great. Hearing her, her and Sherry, seeing that old footage of her and Sherry, that is fantastic. The story of the milkshakes being thrown at them was hilarious. I had never heard the McDonald's story. So to me, this was all
really?
New. Yeah, I never heard the story. So, because Ken is someone that I don't really pay that much attention to. No offense.
Fair enough.
And so I really didn't pay, I didn't know the Dino Bravo shit till I saw the Dark Side of the Ring. So I knew both of those guys in the WWE, but I never really explored them outside of that. So hearing that story, I thought everybody at the table, their faces was fucking gold, absolute gold. They're all trying to be respectful to Ken, but they're all going to be like, nah, I don't think so. Ken, a 30-pound boulder, Ken, an 18-year-old kid is picking up a 30-pound boulder. So all of that was great. But the footage of them beating up the cops, even in fuzzy, whatever they do, was excellent. Absolutely excellent. I don't know if that's a true story or not. They really beat up 12 cops.
Yes.
It is? My God.
That's why he went to prison.
Yeah.
Insane. I mean, if those two guys were black, they would be in prison still, for God's sakes. It's insane. So just all of that. And then, of course, the pooping story. Good God almighty. That was horrific. But this was a very enjoyable watch. Like, I had a really great time. Loved all the personalities. Loved the ball busting. Loved the remembrances. And I enjoyed this one a lot. What'd you think, Chris?
I mean, I loved another home run episode. I thought what I love about these is it's doing retroactively what Triple H is kind of doing currently in WWE, where he's expanding the wrestling universe, where it's like the WWE isn't the only thing there is. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you'd watch 80s WWF. I had no idea what the AWA was, and Bobby Heenan and all these people came from somewhere else. I thought they were just WWF people. But the lifeblood of 80s WWF all came from AWA, as far not just Hulk Hogan, which so many people don't know that Hulkamania started in the AWA. Right. You know, they don't even know that happened. But we're talking Gene Okerlund. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Coming from the AWA. We're talking about Bobby the Brain Heenan. We're talking about Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. We're talking about Rick Rude. We're talking about, it's like just so many people that every guy that you could almost point to and say quintessential 80s WWF got their start in the AWA and territories before that. And so I just love it. You know what I mean? Like I don't really have context for Bobby Heenan as a wrestler. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he carved out an entire career in AWA as an in-ring performer and manager with the Heenan family. Even Sherry as a wrestler. Yeah. She won the women's title a couple times in WWF, but you know her as the Macho King's, manager and valet, and Ted DiBiase and these other people that she was managing.
Heat. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shawn Michaels.
So, Shawn Michaels, absolutely. So it's just like one of those things where I love seeing the lore expanded upon for younger fans who maybe aren't going that deep on the network, especially because it's hard to find on Peacock. But
it is.
Wait a minute. It literally has a WWE tab. How is it hard to find?
Because you go there and then it's like, dude. Now what? Now what do I look at? Yeah. Do I type in Memphis? There's no guidance.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like going to a library and there's no card catalog. You're just like, all right, I need a book on something.
I need a book.
Yeah. Christ. So anyway, so that's what I love about what these. It gives you some guidance towards your journey of discovery of vintage wrestling, and we all could use an education from time to time.
It's crazy how much that footage is still around that they use in these episodes, not only here but Dark Side of the Ring as well. Aaron, what'd you think of this whole episode?
To quote the Iron Sheik, "A fuck at the Pete Brian player." I just, I think it's great. AWA has one of my favorite stories, like the history of it, not right next to World Class, which I hope they do soon.
That's got to be
for sure.
You can't do World Class in one episode. No fucking way.
No, I think Calgary's next. I'm not really sure, but it's Stampede. So I just, when Medusa was talking about, because I don't really remember Medusa in the AWA. I remember Sherry, but she was like, "Yeah, me and Sherry had some matches in the AWA." I was like, I gotta look this up. And the thing is, like, Booker T even talks about it. He's like, dude, Sherry was tougher than most of the guys. Like, she's double tough, man. And I miss seeing that. Like, you always talk about, like Chris said, like the valet Sherry. Like, I remember her, I want to see her as the wrestler Sherry, because she was a good wrestler. Like, she came really trained by the Fabulous Moolah, so she was one of Moolah's girls. But it was really cool. This episode, I guess, didn't really wow me like the Memphis one, because I guess I don't know as much about Memphis. I know a lot about the AWA. I know about that whole kind of thing. But yeah, you're not kidding about poaching talent. I mean, like you said, Okerlund, Hogan, Andre the Giant, Eric Bischoff got his start there. Like, they Vince took them all, dude. He took the Rockers, the Midnight Rockers. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty took them.
They were just a quick few seconds in the montage near the end. Yeah.
I mean, incredible legacy.
Aaron, that story where they're talking about how Vince Sr. brought them all up to HBO to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like, shit, what a dirty fucking move. It's business. You get it. But it's a dirty fucking move.
I haven't heard that part. That was wild.
We're all blaming Vince Jr., but Vince Sr. clearly was laying a little bit of the groundwork.
You got to get it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Just incredible stuff. But yeah, that's why they call it the spectacular legacy of the AWA, because it really did have that legacy. Like, Vern Gagne was also a guy. I think he was an Olympian, so he was like double tough guy that could actually shoot or wrestler.
Right.
I know that he like Fritz von Erich in World Class, like he didn't really trust anybody to like run the company like he would. So like he had people walk out on him, like Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen walked out on him, took the AWA belt, ran over with the truck, like that kind of stuff. Like what happened. So it's just, things like that. And Greg talked about it. Like, Greg could have had many opportunities. Like as him and Kurt Hennig were a tag team for a while, and of course him and Jim Brunzell were the High Flyers. So like Greg could have had opportunities in Stanford, but he wanted to stick by his dad, maybe to his detriment. I know he had like a little run in WCW, I think, but that was really about it for him. It's a good story, man. If you got 45 minutes, just sit down and watch it.
Is there a bigger one? Is there like a 3-hour? Or
yeah, WWE made one when they were making absolute killer documentaries. It's called The Spectacular Legacy of the AWA.
Okay, I'm gonna watch.
And it just goes through a list of like everybody that Vince took, and like it's crazy, but it's a great documentary.
Well, the Weasel gimmick, I had no idea that was from Brunzell kind of saying he's a weasel. Let's play that gimmick. I had no idea that that's where it generated from. I knew that the costume thing he had done when he was in the WWE, but I didn't know that it was AWA where he did it, because it's genius to have him wake up in the costume. It's just absolute genius. And Heenan being able to play it the way he did, just it's so fantastic.
Justin Turner's right. Scott Hall got his start in the AWA. Yeah, big Scott Hall. He was tag team partners with Kurt Hennig.
Yeah, anyone out there that's one of my most sought after shirts is an AWA Scott Hall Kurt Hennig shirt that I've seen only once. It's out there somewhere. If you see it, I'm like John Hammond. That will spare no expense.
Oh wow, there you go. Speaking of which, on that documentary, they show like the old like the AWA was like the first group. That had merch shirts for their wrestlers. Yeah. Everybody had a merch shirt. Like the High Flyers had one, and it was because of Hulk Hogan that happened. Because one of the big blow-ups that Hulk and Vern had was Hulk went to Japan to do a tour, which was okayed by Vern and everything. Yeah. And while Hogan was gone, Vern sold Hulkamania shirts or Hulk Hogan shirts without Hulk's permission. Right. And then he came back, and Hogan's like, "That's all good, brother, but like, where's my cut?" And Vern's like, "What are you talking about?" So then that was like one of the blow-ups that they had, and that was what helped Hulk go to Vince.
Wow. Yeah. So there was more behind it than just what the documentary showed.
Oh yeah. They talk about it more in that WWF.
And that could have had a ripple effect to why Hogan became such a politicker later on. It's like, you screw me, all right, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna use my stroke anytime I can.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All right, let's see. Any Streamlabs? No, we're kind of light today. No Streamlabs or Super Chats. We've got how many are you watching this? 54. Kind of a light day today, but that's all right. Where are we off to next here, Aaron, as we wrap up the show?
We're going to light the fuse. We're going to talk about Dynamite. But before we get there, quick note on AEW Dark. Did you guys see this Athena match on AEW Dark?
No.
With this local talent?
Did she?
Yes. I thought about that. Go ahead.
It became stiff. Let's just say that. It became very stiff, and a lot of stiff kicks, a suplex throw over the top rope from Athena, and she's getting booed out of the building, man. Like, so much so that there was rumors that AEW management like went to them and was like, "Are you guys okay? Like, what happened out there?" Like, stiff shots. And I don't know where it came from. Like, if they were like okay doing it, like, "Hey, we're gonna go get stiff out there, brother." It sucked if that's how they were going to do it. If they didn't do it, this is a problem. This is a big problem. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that before we got to Dynamite.
Go ahead, Chris.
The story that was told to me was that she, who was the enhancement talent?
Jody Threat.
Jody Threat.
Jody Threat.
Jody Threat forgot where they were as far as like what was going to happen next. Yeah.
Oh.
And asked what's the next spot. And I guess this sort of frustrated Athena in the heat of the moment. And so she just started getting snug, really, really snug. And that suplex setup where she just tossed her over the top rope, that was super scary, super dangerous. But apparently Jody hasn't complained in any way, hasn't been like, "Hey, she took liberties with me," or anything like that. But it was hard to not notice it
Yeah.
watching it live, you know, and as especially as smart fans, where you're just like, ooh, that doesn't look right, you know.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that when you were talking about Sherry, because Cornette said that. It's like, if you'd have pulled some shit like that with Sherry Martel back in the day, you would have got your ass destroyed, like immediately. Forget a receipt, she would have just beat you up. And you know, so it's a very weird situation.
That's what I'm saying. Like the text I sent you guys today, I sent that suplex clip and I said, listen, I don't throw hands. It's not my thing. But if someone treated me like this, we're throwing hands. Like, I don't care.
Oh,
like, look at that.
Look at
Oh,
that. That's a little rough.
And I don't know if they're turn or heel, because like it seemed like the crowd was like, either the crowd was pissed off that it was happening, or you know, they're going for a crowd reaction, but it just did not fly. Like it was bad.
Do you think this is her way of getting out of AEW? Do you think this is her way of getting out?
Okay, it might be a horrible way to do it. You should just take liberties with someone's health and safety.
Not a good idea.
Fair point.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, Black Cinder Critic says, I thought you guys don't watch AEW Dark. I don't. I just saw the clip because it was going around the internet. And then Justin Toner said, it reminds me when the Steiner brothers would work mega stiff on jobbers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but no offense to Athena, she's not the Steiner brothers.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Nice.
So she's not on that level. But anyway, there's my dog. She hated it.
Dog's pissed off about that.
Yeah, she hated it. All right, we'll move on to the regular show unless you guys have other.
Yeah, no.
opinions.
Let's go.
All right, so we had the Death Triangle defeating the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy, with Trent Beretta taking a scary looking driver from Ray Phoenix. Worth mentioning that Trent. Oh my God, worth mentioning that Trent Beretta had neck fusion surgery recently. Toni Storm defeated Sheeta to retain her women's championship. Britt, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel hit the ring with Saraya making the save. And guess who else returned? Riho, if you cared. MJF and William Regal verbally spar. Chris Jericho defeated Dalton Castle to retain his Ring of Honor championship. Also worth noting, Jericho signed a 3-year contract extension that was reported by Variety. Why? I don't know. John Moxley defeated Hangman Page by stoppage to retain his AEW World Championship in a scary moment, as it looks though Hangman on that dismount did not land correctly and had a concussion. And it was said that he will recover at home. He will not be back for a couple weeks. He's in concussion protocol. And then we ended the show with MJF announcing to Moxley that he will cash in his chip at Full Gear for the title, and he will, quote, earn it. So there you go.
I'm a man. What do you got, Chris? What do you got on this one?
This was a show of 2 segments. It was the MJF William Regal, and it was the scary incident in the world title match, plus the MJF, announcing when he's cashing in afterwards, which played off of the earlier interview segment. Yeah. The rest of the show, the Death Triangle thing, I'm like, you pointed it out of repeat booking last week, Aaron. It's like, aren't we doing the whole don't cheat storyline with Jericho and Garcia? Like, where Phoenix stops Pac, he's like, you don't need to cheat. It's like, what? That's
your heels.
Yeah, your heels, and we're doing that over there in that storyline. What? You can't repeat yourself in the same show. That's just crazy. And then you said that if anybody cares, Riho, I thought, got a pretty big reaction when she came running out.
The crowd was excited for her.
Fair enough.
Maybe someone pointed out, maybe because that audience knows Riho's music as opposed to Saraya's. Like, it's still not recognizable enough yet. I'd be interested to see if they had done the run-ins without music. Because the music, what's your guys' opinion on that anyway?
What?
I'm an old school guy, and I don't like when music plays when people do run-ins. Because what is happening, kayfabe? You're backstage and you're like, hit my music so I can go help this person. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. And I get it that it came into prominence with Austin.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Austin would like a word with you.
Yeah. The glass would shatter. And, oh, crap, and it worked. It really worked in that scenario. I don't think works. I don't think it just doesn't make sense to me. Are you guys fans of the music hitting?
No.
I think it depends on the situation. I'm not 100% one way or the other. It depends on the situation and it depends on whose music, right?
Uh-huh.
If The Rock's music hits, everyone loses their shit if he's coming out to interfere in something. If he just runs out, you've lost the overall effect of The Rock coming out. Certain people can be announced by their music because the fans are clamoring or looking for them, because most of the times fans know or can guess who might be coming out. So when you hear the music, it just allows them to explode with joy and expectation of what's going to come. But with other people, I don't think like Saraya didn't need to come out to her music. Saraya could have come running out because Chris very smartly pointed out, people don't know that music in AEW just yet. So having her come out to just having a run out to face Baker, that would have been enough. The ripple of that would have been enough. But Riho, she's coming back from injury, and from a long time out. So you want to see if the fans react to that music. And sure enough, they did. So I think it's a case-by-case basis, to be honest with you. I understand not doing it, but I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Fair enough. But yeah, like I said, this episode was all MJF all the time. And just, I'm sure we'll talk about MJF and what he did. I want to give all the props to Regal. Regal was in a tough situation because the fans were not on his side when he started talking. MJF had brought them all to him, to the sympathy and the this, that, and the other. And, we as a society, there's this whole, stigma around the younger generation and that they're soft and don't go through enough. And he sort of told that line with his promo, but the way he was able to articulately, say, bro, if an email is your big, you know what I mean, was enough to conquer your spirit, then you got a brittle spirit, basically. Like, I had grown men beating my face in on a regular basis when I was a teenager, and I made it happen. So if you want to be this person that you say that you are, I want to hear about what you were about to do based on an email. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I just thought, and the crowd came right back to him, right back to his side. Masterfully done by another. We talked about Raven, another person who does not get the flowers that they deserve in this business.
Yep.
I mean, and what an amazing line of like, anytime I use these is because I liked hitting people with them. You know what I mean? About the brass knuckles. Just great. Just absolutely great.
Him turning his back on him. Him turning his back on him was great.
Totally.
Do something. Yeah.
Get him to earn it. It's getting him to like wanting to earn the world title as opposed to take shortcuts. Just God, it was just so well done. I got chills when he took over and did his thing. Like I said, I know we'll talk about what MJF did in that whole situation, but it was phenomenal. And then the world title match, that was a decent match. It started off hot as hell with some really crazy high spots. And then again, the same ballet, man, when you're taking risks, that's what happens. And just what a terrible blow with another top guy, is out. But at least they handled it the right way. Yeah. They didn't jostle him a bunch. They didn't encourage him to finish. You know what I mean? They just, they started promoting the matches for the next show and gave the EMTs time to do their thing. And Moxley cut a promo, and kudos to Moxley, because in that situation, you got to come off the cuff and be still entertaining and engaging in the whole thing and still show respect to what just happened. And I think he handled it beautifully. Yeah, I think he absolutely handled it beautifully. So, yeah, those are kind of my overall things on the episode.
I think Chris, you're right. I think those are the two things to talk about, because that's the MJF stuff was fantastic. I don't know if I can add much more to what you said. Just his work on the mic, him coming in with him dragging the referee. What's his name? I forget his name, but him dragging him by the shirt's collar to go up there and possibly cash in the chip there was great. And then him running out and grabbing the mic and yelling at everybody, and then running out was just so well done by MJF, because you don't know where MJF is. Is he a face? Is he a heel? Either they are accidentally or brilliantly rolling him out in this way since he came back. And it's working for me. It's 100% working for me. And I think the fans, like you said, they were against Regal, but then they went on Regal's side. I think the same thing is going to happen with MJF as he gets closer and closer to this match. And I don't know if he's going to win. I mean, I feel like he should, but I don't know if he's going to win. And that makes it all the more interesting to follow this whole thing. For God's sakes, I don't know what to tell you. Rebel in that crutch. I don't know, give her a new gimmick or get her out of this whole situation. It just drives me insane. It drives me fucking insane. It feels like she comes from a time machine in the 90s to show up in 2022. It's kind of mind blowing. I thought Tony and the match was fine. Saraya, I guess she can wrestle. I guess she's cleared.
Yes.
So her coming down and attacking Britt Baker. Okay, where are we leading with that? Let's see where it goes. I'm cool with that. Let's see, Jericho, Dalton Castle, that was fine. Moxley and Hangman Page, that hit that Hangman took looked like any other hit that Hangman is or any other wrestler has taken from that lariat of or that clothesline of Moxley's. So it was kind of surprising. You know, it reminded me of like Richard Petty. Remember when Richard Petty died? It was just a slam into the wall. That's it. He had survived so many other crashes that it was surprising that it was just a
slam about Dale Earnhardt.
Oh, sorry, Dale Earnhardt. Sorry, Dale Earnhardt. Not Richard Petty. Sorry about that. But he had survived all these other crashes, and then bang, it was a simple hit into the wall, and that was that. With this, it didn't seem like it was that bad, and then it was really serious. As soon as that dude in the black rolled in, you're like, oh shit. So apparently it's real. Apparently it's serious. So that's a shame for Hangman, but he was going to lose the match anyway, I imagine. And so you got your end result anyway with MJF and Moxley, which led to a fun promo between those two guys. So yeah, all of it. Just I enjoyed the moments that I enjoyed, but there are other stuff that AEW still needs to work on, for God's sakes. And that women's division is number one. Saraya feels like Jordan on the Wizards, man. I'm sorry. It just doesn't feel like she feels like she's way above their level and shouldn't be there. It just feels like that. I mean, you know, it doesn't feel right. When we see Kevin Durant on the Lakers in 5 years from now, it's going to feel like that. That's what I'm saying.
Don't talk about you talk about Finn. Now you're talking about my ball club, man. What are we doing today?
Your ball club
doing today?
Can they get above 80 points? I'm just all right. Anyway,
we won a title 2 years ago.
The COVID title.
Did you though?
I will turn this whole podcast around. Do you understand? Yeah, I will turn this whole thing around. Everybody relax on the COVID championship.
He's going to start throwing milkshakes at us.
The Disney Plus title does not count.
Oh,
Aaron, you got a strongly worded text coming your way after this.
That's all right. My team is the Magic, for God's sake.
Oh God.
So, now I see why you're so upset at us.
Got all the young talent, though.
You talk Shaq. But yeah, so yeah, but I certainly enjoyed Raw more than I did AEW Dynamite, and AEW Dynamite had been on a roll. But I'll tell you the one comment that I didn't like. Moxley just signed a 5-year contract extension, and he's the one that has been kind of leading these charges, these little kind of subtle, shady shots at Punk. You're going to shoot your mouth off when you grab the mic and say, boy, this show's really going downhill. I can't get a mic that works. You're a fucking asshole. You just signed a 5-year contract, bitch. Don't be complaining about a mic not working, because that's you insulting the people who just signed your paychecks. This is not a Vince Russo situation with fucking Jared and Hogan. That really rubbed me wrong. I'm cool if you want to carry the standard and carry the flag, but don't be insulting that flag if you're going to be the guy who's carrying it and being mad at other people who disrespect it. It just doesn't make any sense. So that comment really rubbed me the wrong way. I may be overthinking it, but it rubbed me the wrong way.
Especially in that scenario where a man is laying hurt like a motherfucker on the other side of the ring. Like, there's a little decorum, a little bit.
You said the show's going downhill. That's not good to say that.
Yeah, crazy.
The champion of the show.
Right.
Dude, the thing about AEW Dynamite is, like, I'm not like a crusader for women's rights or anything like that. I mean, but it's like, I swear they sit in the back and they're like, how many women do we have in the back?
Yeah.
All right, fucking put them all in this segment. It's like, God bless, dude. Like, just do something.
They've killed Haters Push, haven't they? They've killed it.
I've got an idea. Let's make, like, they House of Black, whatever, Julie Hart, but let's make a stable, kind of like the Judgment Day, kind of not. Like, don't have to be like gothy, but like, what if we put a guy like Wardlow, We made the mouthpiece Ricky Starks, and we threw like Jamie Hayter in there. Then we grab somebody else, maybe FTR. I don't know. We grab a tag team and throw them in there. Do something with these people, dude. Like, you've got pieces.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe and Wardlow's a team. Who fucking cares? Like, I don't care.
It's terrible.
And it's like they need. I know Tony. It's awful. I know that Tony said that we're getting Ring of Honor news soon, and I really hope that we are.
Yeah.
But it's like, get the Ring of Honor stuff. I'm so done with. I'm over and done with. I don't care who the champions are. I don't. Dalton Castle's the Ring of Honor. Who cares?
Yeah.
No one cares, dude. Like, it's terrible. The Jericho stuff. He signed a new contract, which, whatever. Jericho's going to go there because he's not going to get away with that crap with Triple H and WWE. Right. So he's like Tony Khan's best buddy. He's like whispering to Tony Khan's ear, "Hey, let me and MJF do a musical. Like, hey, put Daniel Garcia in the main event. Like, dude, if you want Chris Jericho to be your creative guy, fine, whatever. Like, it's not for me. Like, I don't know what Jericho's doing, but I hate everything. Every time he shows up, I'm like, oh God, can't deal with it. I hope Hangman's okay. I'm sure he's going to be fine with some recovery. It's scary stuff, man. Adam Cole's still out with a concussion. So
true.
It's very scary stuff, especially from what we know about concussion now, right? Like, look at the Tua Tagovailoa situation. Like, what a cluster that is. So it's like, you want to make sure that one of your top guys is okay. I know we harped on Hangman for the past couple of weeks, but you never like to see anybody get hurt. The thing I worry about with MJF is, oh my God, are they going to turn him babyface? And if they do, who's he going to feud with?
Yeah. That's true. That's good.
This is me looking for Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Miro. Like, where are these people?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand it. And I read an article this week about Darby Allin, and Darby said that he intentionally like asked for time off so that when he came back, like people would he'd get a pop. And I was like, Darby, listen, my man, people were really starting to get behind you even more than you were. Like, that coffin match or whatever you had with Brody King was great. Yeah. And I was like, I'm ready to run with him. And then it's like, yeah, I'm going to be off TV for a while. It's like, no, Darby, like, you're not Jeff Hardy, man. Like, I know you're like a big deal and kids love you and people love you, but like, you're not that guy yet. Like, you're not Sting. Like, you can't do that. Like, you got to strike while the iron's hot. Yeah. And I also want to say about Darby, even though I don't know why we're talking about this, but it's Darby, but like, he's doing this stuff where he's like doing backflips on motorcycles for like Dude Perfect. And I'm like, dude, no, absolutely not. Like, you're an AEW contracted talent. Like, John Moxley wrestled Nick Gage and stuff, and like, that's done with. Like, we're done with that. And now it's like Darby doing all this crap. Like, what if he gets hurt, breaks his leg? You're going to pay this dude 6 figures to sit at home, but you're not going to pay for one of your employees who passed away. Like, you're going to have to do a GoFundMe. It's bullshit. I'm sorry, bullshit.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Yeah, that's the thing that I didn't like either. Tony Khan should have paid for that. That's ridiculous. Black Cinema Critic says, I loved the MJF spot with Mox. I don't know what the runaway title belt storyline is with Jade and Nyla Rose. Tony might be losing steam. Oh yeah, Tony's losing steam 100%. When will FTR drop the ROA belts to go after?
Sure.
ROH, I was going to say, yeah, to go after the Acclaimed. Where is Powerhouse and Miro? Good point. And where the hell is Ruby Soho? So yeah, good questions all around from MJ, from Black Cinema Critic, for sure. Yeah, I don't like that runaway belt story. It's trying to do something with.
God, it's so dumb.
With Jade, yeah. This some of the booking here is just they're rehashing old shit. There's nothing new here that's cutting edge or groundbreaking, and I think it's a little frustrating to watch right now. Even though the matches themselves, more often than not, are good. It's the whole booking around it that's not living up to expectations. So yeah.
Remember when Mr. Perfect stole Hulk's belt and busted it with a hammer?
Right.
Like, I wish they would do something. Like, maybe Nyla Rose could do something like that, or like when Austin threw the Rock's belt in the river, the Long Island Sound or whatever. Just do that. Like, do something with it. Don't just sit there like in your hot tub, like, oh, I have this belt. Like, yeah, I've got 2 on my shelf. It don't mean nothing, dude. Doesn't mean I'm the WCW United States champion. Doesn't mean anything.
You're not?
I literally
well, I guess I could be, since Ring of Honor is a defunct promotion. They have champions that are recognized. Might as well. Yeah, I'm the WCW United States champion now, guys. Just acknowledge me that way.
Acknowledge me.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's wrap it up
And-
there.
Well, a quick note also about Ruby Rose. She said
Okay.
that she loved Halloween Ends, so fuck her opinion.
Jesus. All right, there you go.
I got one last thing, guys.
All right.
So
Break it down.
AEW's got to bite the bullet and bring back the Elite. They got to do it.
Oh,
Stop with the. There's nothing else at the top right now. Hangman's hurt. Adam Cole, who knows what's going on.
Right.
What do you got? What else you got? You know, you got Moxley and you got MJF. You got to get some other people up there.
That's good. Point.
Besides that, have you heard about why the CM Punk contract buyout is supposedly taking so long?
No, that he was trending today, so people were talking about it. What's up?
Apparently, and this has been verified from some folks I've talked to, what they're trying to get Punk to agree to is a no-compete clause as far as getting out of his contract.
So he doesn't go to WWE. Oh my god!
Which would indicate that in some world he would go back to the WWE.
Oh yeah,
and which we all thought was impossible forever and a day. So I don't know. Very interesting. And then a lot of people have been sharing that meme of when CM Punk was briefly aligned with DX.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a while there in WWE. Could you imagine a scenario after the bidding war of 2024 and somehow WWE is able to get MJF on the main roster of WWE and effing Cult of Personality starts playing when MJF makes his debut? Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can handle it. And
what about Cody? I mean, if it's Cody Rhodes versus MJF, if I'm sorry, Punk, if Punk is to come over or whatever, but no surprise. And it's wrestling. I don't put anything past anything. If Triple H thinks he can control Punk and bring him back under these limitations, why wouldn't you? It's good business. It's good money. He saw how much money he was making for AEW. He would make the money for WWE. So it's business, and it would make sense to be. I mean, they've mended bridges with so many former wrestlers over the years. It would not be a surprise to have them do that with Punk. So yeah, but I'm not surprised that they're trying to do a non-compete.
After all this CM Punk stuff with AEW, the press conference, all that, I'm good.
Yeah,
I was good the whole 7 years too. Maybe 2014 is when he left. So it's like for a couple of years there, I was like, man, that'd be really cool if he came back. Then I just didn't care anymore. And it's just like he either wants to wrestle or he doesn't. It's that easy.
Yeah.
And I think once he got to AEW and he saw like how it was going, he's like, you know what? I fucking don't need this. So and I don't think. Do you think anybody in WWE outside of especially Triple H, do you think like anybody outside of WWE, like outside of like a one-off, we're going to sell some merchandise nostalgia run, he's not going to be their world champion? Like
no,
it's not going to happen, dude.
Yeah.
So
you have to question what would be his role.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with Punk. I don't care.
All right, fair enough. I think it will happen eventually. There and the fact that there's a non-compete issue, that means CM Punk is also considering finding his way back to WWE, maybe, because I don't think he'd give a shit if he wasn't gonna go to WWE. That's the thing. I don't think he'd give a shit if it wasn't a situation for him to consider.
People forget he wasn't gonna have anything to do with the company, period.
Yeah.
And so Fox was like, we want CM Punk involved. And then they got him back to that god-awful show that he was on talking about WWE news. It was like, what happened to you want nothing to do with this company? You know what I'm saying? Like, if the price is right, he'll be there.
That show was god-awful, and I tried to call it on a certain show and got in trouble for it. So, yeah, we go. Right. All right. So, anyway, all right. Are we good? Anything else to touch on? All right. Let's roll on.
We gave him enough.
I think so. Thank you all so much for joining us. We appreciate it madly. You guys are awesome. Appreciate all the comments and the lively chat for sure. Thanks for the Streamlabs and Super Chats that came in. We appreciate you all very much as well. Aaron, another fun show. Where can they find you, brother man?
You can find me on Twitter at Only Aaron Turner, and I will be watching the Sami Zayn show tonight, aka SmackDown. So I'm excited for that.
What's the name of that one that you got in your lap?
Oh, this is Mello. This is my newest baby.
Oh, Pitbull, huh?
He's a pit lab mix. He was
nice.
originally, his original owner named him after Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, boy.
Not that I'm not a Carmelo Anthony fan, but I like to think that he's named after Carmelo Hayes. So.
Oh, that's good.
And
Speaking
especially when he pees, Mello don't miss. Am I right, buddy?
Oh, nice.
He's a good boy.
Speaking of which, y'all should definitely watch the Redeem Team documentary that's on Netflix about Carmelo LeBron, Chris Paul, and Dwayne Wade going to get the gold back for the United States. That was a fantastic doc. I watched it last night. Chris, another fun show, brother man. Where can they find you?
At Chris_please. I'm back this weekend at the Hollywood Improv if you're in the LA area. I got the legend, Earthquake, doing a set on my show.
John, what? John
Not the wrestler.
Oh, I was like, from the grave?
Oh, my God.
You say Earthquake on a wrestling show.
Earthquake's great, man. I love Earthquake. Did you have a thing you were promoting? Oh, you're not going to reveal the thing with Raven? No, the wrestling show.
Oh no, stay tuned. Okay, stay tuned. Or look, if you guys want to follow Circle 6, it's a local promotion here in the LA area. They've been doing some good shows. We had Karrion Kross there right before he went back to WWE. They've been doing some really cool things. It's the guys who made GCW cool, but they don't work with GCW anymore.
Gotcha. Good stuff.
Good to know.
All right, so you can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Please remember to subscribe down below. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell button. If you like the content we'll be doing, the variety of content we'll be doing here on the channel, we appreciate it. And look for some reviews coming out this weekend for sure on my end for Black Adam and a couple other things like Banshees of Inisherin and maybe The Peripheral, if I can convince my friend to see it. But no, well, I don't know. It was a terrible movie, Aaron. Do you really want to review it for 10 minutes?
No, but I am in the middle of watching Pearl, so I'm excited to keep watching that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Put that on the roster for sure. And TikTok, the Outlaw Nation, they're on TikTok as well. All right, we're out of here. Y'all the best. Take care of yourselves. Be well. It's my birthday on Sunday, so send me something nice on Twitter, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of Strong Style.